What is going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel, and this is going to be my live stream. This is going to be my Game of Thrones finale predictions. Unfortunately, Game of Thrones is going to end on this, or it's going to end this Sunday. I have mixed feelings. Part of me is sad that it's going to be over with, but part of me is also very excited that this show is going to be ending, and it is an accomplishment in itself. I mean, what this show has been able to do is just incredible over the past decade. I mean, this show has really revolutionized TV, and so yeah, I'm really sad to see it be over on Sunday, but it is also refreshing because now we're going to see, they're going to have some spin-off shows, and there's some other content out there to watch. So anyway, guys, let me get right into my predictions. Then I want to hear from you guys. Start commenting down in the chat board right now what you think is going to happen. I was trying to get MP Dagger in this video. I had a hard time figuring out how to kind of like work Skype into this. And also our times I didn't realize that he was Eastern time. So if Dagger, if you're here, please, dude, please jump down into the comments and let me know what you think. Anyway, guys, this is what I think is going to happen on the series finale of Game of Thrones. So number one, the big question: who will sit on the Iron Throne? Well, I think that the person who will sit on the Iron Throne at the end of this is Gendry Baratheon. Now, let me explain my reason. Number one, Daenerys is going to die. I don't think there's any way Daenerys gets out of this episode, this final episode, without being killed. What she did was just horrendous. I saw it coming a mile away. I know a lot of people are still frustrated about it, like, oh, that would never happen. She would never do that. But believe me, they've been hinting at this for years now. Go back and watch the show. If you don't agree with me or you don't believe me, go back and watch the show. They've been hinting at her being the Mad Queen for a long time. She killed innocent people way before what she did at King's Landing. Not to the same magnitude, but she has killed people, innocent people. I do think it's going to be Gendry Baratheon. Jon Snow, I feel like he's the obvious choice, and I part of me thinks that they're not going to go with the obvious choice. And I think Gendry Baratheon could end up on the throne. There's two ways that it could happen. Number one, Jon Snow decides to sacrifice himself along with killing Daenerys, which we'll see what happens with that. Number two, Jon could say, I don't want the throne, because he said over and over again, I do not want the throne. And he might say, you know what? This guy right here is the true heir to the throne. He's a Baratheon. And not only that, but I have fought with this man. He is a good man. He would make a very good king. And, I think Jon Snow is the type of person who would give up the Iron Throne because he doesn't want it. He necessarily does not want it. And I think that Gendry Baratheon will end up on the Iron Throne, and Arya Stark will be the queen of the Seven Kingdoms. But I don't know if it's really going to be Seven Kingdoms. That's another thing. I do feel like the King of the North is going to be Jon Snow. The North will kind of act as kind of their own proper country or region, and Jon Snow will be the king there. However, he might even just appoint Sansa as being the queen of the North, and maybe Jon will go off and do whatever he wants, because he's had a long fight in a long battle. I also believe that Sansa will end up remarrying Tyrion. Well, technically they're probably still married, but who knows? It could be illegitimate because of the fact, or it could have been annulled because of the fact that she married oh my gosh, Ramsay Bolton. So it might have been annulled at that fact, for the fact that she did end up marrying someone else. So we'll see how that plays out, but I do think they're going to end up together, and I think that they might even go and rule Castle Rock, or Casterly Rock, or Winterfell. So I do think those are some options going into this final episode. I also believe that certain characters will die. I think Daenerys is she's as good as dead. I think Grey Worm is as good as dead. I think I'm trying to think of who else. We've seen a lot of deaths already. I feel like Sir Devos might die, which is kind of sad because I really like Sir Devos a lot. He's one of my he's another character that I've really liked. He's not I can't say he's like one of my favorites, but he's definitely in the discussion for one of my most liked characters. I feel like he's been such a great character. He's had such a good arc too. I think the Starks will be fine. I don't think any Stark is going to die necessarily. If one Stark does die, I think it makes logical sense for that person to possibly be Arya. However, she's heading back to Winterfell. I think she'll be okay. I think Bran will be fine. They need him. He's the three-eyed raven. I think Brienne of Tarth could die. If Daenerys is going after Sansa, Brienne is going to put herself in front of Sansa, and Brienne doesn't really have anything else left to left. She lost Jaime. He's dead now. Tormund is still a possibility, but I don't think so. And I think she's kind of just there's really nowhere else to take her character. She is a knight now, and she's going to protect Sansa until to the death. So I feel like she could be a character that could very much well die in this final episode. Other big characters' deaths, maybe Tormund because he's going to fight for Jon Snow. I would really hate to see that, though. I love Tormund. I think he's such a funny character. He's one of my favorites. Trying to think. Tyrion will not die. That's for sure. I hope not anyway. You never know. If Tyrion dies, I'll be really sad. It will be the last episode, so it's not going to be like a huge punch to the gut, but it will be I'll be very disappointed if he ends up dying. Those are my predictions for who's going to die. So I think Brienne of Tarth, Daenerys definitely, Grey Worm definitely. Because the only way you can get to Daenerys is if you kill Grey Worm. Grey Worm's a great combat fighter, but Jon Snow could take him. Sir Devos, it's unfortunate, but I think he could die. Tormund, I also think could die, and maybe Tyrion, but I really don't want him to die at all. Like, if he dies, guys, I will bawl my eyes out. I will bawl my eyes out. But yeah, I think this last episode is going to be a good one. I think it's one thing that I did notice from last week's episode that I really liked in the beginning was they built this tension. And I feel like this episode is going to build up that tension maybe in the first 10 minutes, and then it's just going to get right into where we want to go. I think it's going to start off with, Daenerys, kind of the aftermath of King's Landing, Daenerys standing there with, the Unsullied, and I think she's going to look around and realize maybe she made a mistake, or she might just say, now it's my kingdom. She's going to go sit on the Iron Throne, whatever's left of the Iron Throne, because she completely destroyed King's Landing. There's not really a lot of buildings standing or a lot of things standing for that matter. So I think she'll go sit on the Iron Throne, and I think Arya is going to go back to Winterfell. She's going to tell everyone what happened. We're going to see some, a little bit of strifes between Dany and Jon. And I think Jon is going to bring an army to King's Landing and tell Daenerys, you need to get off of that throne. You need to be removed. You are worse than Cersei. Honestly, she's worse than Cersei. And so I think, Jon is going, I think he's fed up. I think he's going to go and he's going to, bring his forces on her. And, I think Daenerys is going to have a lot of trouble. Now, one thing that I would love, I don't think they're going to do this, but I would love it. I would absolutely love it if they took Drogon, Daenerys' dragon, and Drogon turned against her and killed her. Because my theory is Drogon knows that the true dragon is Jon Snow, not Daenerys. So I think I don't know. It could be a kind of a crazy theory. Now, the only thing is I know she can't die by fire, but Drogon could still maybe tear her apart. Maybe she doesn't die. I think she does have to die, but maybe she doesn't die. Maybe Jon throws her in the dungeon. But I don't see any way that Daenerys makes it out of this episode at all. I really, really don't. I think she's as good as dead, more so than probably any other character. And I feel like she's the Mad Queen. Would be really poetic. Actually, now I'm thinking about it. I'm also thinking that maybe what if they decide that Jon Snow is going to kill Daenerys like Jaime killed her dad, where she gets stabbed in the back. Now, with Jon Snow, it's a little different. I don't really see him doing that, but that would be very interesting. And what a way, what a horrible way to die. I mean, you pretty much, and she told Jaime, there's a little bit of that foreshadowing we've seen already this season where she was telling Jaime when he came into Winterfell, that, my brother would tell me these horror stories about the man who murdered my dad. And so what if she ends up dying the same exact way as her dad? So there's just some food for thought there. I think after that, I think Jon will, get the throne, but realize he doesn't want it. He's going to go back to Winterfell. He's going to, again, I think he's going to appoint Gendry Baratheon as the king, the true king and the true heir to the Iron Throne. Gendry will sit on the throne with Arya. There's going to be some peace. Jon is going to maybe go back to the north. He might even go to, Casterly Rock. He might go back to the Wall, even though the Wall's pretty much, I mean, you don't really need the Wall anymore, I guess, right? Because there's nothing else out there that's a threat. They eliminated the White Walkers. The Wildlings are now a part of them as a society. So I think Jon could probably just want to retire, find a nice girl, retire, have some kids. And I think, that's a poetic way for him to go out. Gendry's going to be king. Arya will get married to Gendry. She'll realize that there's more to life. And she's going to be a boss queen. I think Sansa and Tyrion are going to rule Winterfell. And they're going to be married. And I think, trying to think what other loose ends need to be tied, because these are like the main players. I think Bran is going to continue to be Bran. He's still going to be the three-eyed raven, and I think there's going to be some type of time jump. I have this feeling the last maybe 10, 15, maybe even 20 minutes of this episode is going to be a jump in time. Maybe like it could be like a year, a couple years, whatever, and it's going to kind of show what has happened. And I don't think there's going to be any more chaos. I think everything's going to be kind of loose. I think everything's going to be kind of tied up. You might even see Sansa with a baby. You never know. And I think Samwell, there's another character. Samwell Tarly, I think, is going to be, I think somebody brought up Grand Maester. That's not a bad thought, but I don't think he's going to be Grand Maester because he didn't finish his formal training. And I feel like, even though Jon and him are best friends, like Jon still has that respective titles. And I think that Samwell is going to end up ruling maybe even Highgarden. I don't think it's going to be Bronn. Bronn could die, I think. Maybe Tyrion will kill him because Bronn's kind of selfish. But we'll see. Maybe even Dany will kill him in the beginning of the season. But or at the beginning of the episode, beginning of the season. But I think that's my predictions. Now, if these predictions don't happen, which I hope they don't, because I want to be surprised. I don't want to guess what's going to happen. I won't be upset if this doesn't happen. If somehow Dany ends up on the Iron Throne at the end of it, I at least want it to make sense, and I at least want to feel okay about that decision, that it actually really did make sense for her to be on the Iron Throne. Now, a lot of people have been upset about this season. I don't want to really get into that. This past Sunday, I kind of felt bad because somebody came onto my live stream and they were kind of, being a little rude and all that stuff. And if you don't like the season, that's totally fine. I get it. I understand. You were let down. It wasn't what you thought it was going to be. And again, if you don't think that if you just think that Dany turning was a spur of the moment thing, you haven't been paying attention to this show. You have to watch from like season 4, season 5, season 6. She was doing these things for years. They've been hinting at this for years. And I said it time and time again that, she is a bad person and she's all about my throne, my throne. That's all she's ever been about. And I know a lot of people are upset because they feel like it was such a spur of the moment thing. I don't agree. I think that they have been planting these seeds for years now, and I thought it worked. It worked for me. I didn't actually think they were going to go that way with her being the Mad Queen. I thought maybe she would get the throne and then maybe make some bad decisions along the way. But I did not see her burning down an entire city. It was visually, it was awesome to look at. I think Miguel Sapochnik or Sapochnik. I'm really bad with names. It might even be like Sapochnik. I think he's one of the best directors that they have working on this show. And I want to see him make a film. I think he'd do he would do a great job with like a property, give him like, something to bite the bit on. Don't give him like a huge thing to work on. Don't give him an MCU film, nothing like that. Give him like maybe a horror film or, even maybe like a small budget action film or like a martial arts film or something like that. I think he could do some really great things. So we'll have to wait and see, but I'm sad that the season is coming to an end. I really am, that the show is coming to an end. Cannot wait to get the entire set on Blu-ray. I'm totally buying that. And I'll be watching it for years and years and years. And I'll be watching the prequel series as well. This one that they're going to do with Naomi Watts has been confirmed that it's going to focus on the first children, which we kind of saw a little bit with the previous Three-Eyed Raven. So we'll see how that goes. I was hoping that we'd get a show, and maybe we will for one of the spinoffs that takes place maybe, maybe even like hundreds or even thousands of years into the future, with still like this concept of the Iron Throne and having different houses and like, kind of like that establishment of what we know from Game of Thrones has kind of changed. So yeah, guys, those are my predictions. That's what I think is going to happen for this final episode of Game of Thrones. I hope it doesn't happen. If it does, I still will be shocked. I still will be shocked. I think Gendry's going to end up on the throne. Does that mean he will? No. Jon Snow kind of seems like the favorite, but part of me really does think that Jon Snow is going to be like, I don't want to be the king, maybe at least maybe just wants to be the king of Winterfell. I don't know. So I'm going to get through some of your guys' comments here. If you haven't posted comments, post them right down below on the chat. I want to see what you guys predict for this final episode of Game of Thrones ever. My theory: Jon kills Dany and goes to live beyond the wall, since Tormund alluded to them meeting again one day. This would have the perfect groundwork for a sequel where a Targaryen heir is still alive. Either Bran or Gendry will become king. I don't think Bran will, MP. Bran doesn't want that. He never has. He doesn't even want to be the Lord. When Sansa offered it to him, when he came back, he goes, I can never be a Lord. I'm the Three-Eyed Raven. He didn't even want it. And he even told Sansa she's doing a better job than he ever would. So Bran will not be the king. There's no way that will happen. But hey, I mean, weird things have happened. Maybe everyone dies. Maybe Bran's the last one, alive. Maybe he has to be the king at that point. But I feel like Bran just doesn't want that. That's not really what Bran wants. In season 1, Cersei and Robert talked about how they lost their first child in infancy. What if it was Gendry and he was the true-born son of Cersei and Robert? I've heard that theory. I've heard this before. I've seen like a couple of YouTube videos kind of running with this. My thought to that is this: it doesn't really matter anymore. Cersei's dead. Jaime's dead. So it doesn't matter. I don't think that he is Cersei's son. But I think Gendry is just a bastard. But people might say, well, Gendry can't be the king because he's a bastard. Well, he was already legitimized. And not only that, but Jon Snow was made King of the North, and he was a bastard still. So, to me, I think at this point in time, it doesn't matter if you're a bastard or not. I think the whole rules are going to change, especially going into the Iron Throne. After seeing who gets the Iron Throne at the end, I feel like there's going to be like this kind of overarching resolve that the rules have changed to the game of the Iron Throne. So I feel like a lot of things are going to change, and there's not a lot of people left. So we'll see. Maybe stolen or hidden as a baby by a jealous Jaime since he is older than Joffrey. It made sense. Again, Dagger, I don't think that is the route they're going to go. I mean, I've heard the theory. Maybe he finds out. That would be a very interesting revelation. It would kind of be like one of those revelations where it's like, it's a little too late because, I mean, the show is wrapping up. At this point, it doesn't even matter, even if he finds out. And it's kind of like they're kind of shoehorning that in. It doesn't really make sense to kind of even go that route. I think, just keep Gendry, Robert Baratheon's bastard. Grey Worm and Jon have a boss fight. I think that's what is setting up to Dagger. I really think that it's going to be a fight between Grey Worm and Jon because there's nobody else who could take Grey Worm in a fight. Nobody. Jaime's dead. I mean, maybe actually, okay, Bran of Tarth could, but I don't think a fight between Bran of Tarth and Grey Worm just doesn't logically make sense just because they haven't really had an impact in one another's stories. And I think Jon makes a lot more sense, only because the only other two people that she has, that Daenerys has that she's close to is Grey Worm and Jon. So I feel like that is what they're setting up for. Grey Worm might be a great fighter, but I don't think he can. I don't think he can take Jon. That's for sure. Okay, back to playing Minecraft. All right, you have fun playing Minecraft, man. I've never played it. I know my brother played it for a long time. I guess they're going to make a Minecraft movie. Don't really know how that's going to work out. But yeah, man, you have fun. I think Brienne is preggo with Jaime's bastard and Tyrion raises him to carry on the Lannister name. That's a possibility. Now, Brienne would have to die for that to happen. And I think Brienne could very well die. But if she's pregnant and she dies, because they're not going to jump like forward like that. If she's pregnant and she dies, then the baby's dead too. So there's some problems with that logic, but I do feel like they could go that route. Tyrion is the last Lannister. Maybe she's not pregnant, and like I said, Tyrion and Sansa get married, they have a kid, boom, the Lannister lineage is still furthering down the line. And so it's kind of like, and I feel like that would make a lot of sense. Now hear me out. So a lot of people talk about how the prophecy, or like Robert Baratheon wanted a Baratheon and a Stark to get married. Well, we'd get that with Gendry and Arya, which I think that's the route that they're going to take. I really do. And then a Stark and a Lannister, which is kind of like, you're kind of combining these huge houses. Targaryen, I mean, if Dany dies, you'll still have Jon, who's Stark and Targaryen. So there could be this, and it makes sense because it's like this interchanging of the houses, or intermixing of the houses. So you'd have, more Starks, more Lannisters, and more Targaryens. Because I feel like Jon will probably settle down. He's not gonna be with Dany. He'll probably settle down, find somebody, probably some random person. It's not going to be like a Sansa or anything. I mean, if they did that, if they went that route, I mean, it wouldn't make sense because Sansa he views as a sister. And who knows? Maybe Tormund has some lady friends for him. We'll see. Or also maybe he goes to the Martells. I think there's still a Martell, or Martell or a Sand. I think there might be a Martell though. If he goes to a Martell, marries a Martell, boom, all the family's houses are kind of staying together. There's that intermix. So I don't know. I mean, there's a possibility that she is pregnant. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know if they're going to expand it. Like, maybe what they could do is like the first 5 minutes are the aftermath of what happened at King's Landing, like moments after. And then maybe they have a time jump after that into the future, and Daenerys has been queen for a while. That would be kind of interesting. That would be kind of interesting, to be honest. I'd be totally down for that. And maybe Jon's trying to regroup his forces, and Dany's trying to make the North bend the knee, and Jon's not willing to do that, so he goes and fights Dany, and that would be pretty cool. I have to be honest, that would actually be pretty awesome. I don't know. That kind of just opened my mind a little bit. Maybe they'll do that. My theory. All right, Laundry, let's hear your theory, man. Jon kills Dany, fulfilling Azor Ahai. I'm terrible with that Azor Ahai. Grey Worm will fight Jon at Tyrion's trial. Gendry will be king with a council to run things. Jon goes to the wall. Sansa gets the north. See, that kind of seems about in line of what I think a little bit. Jon kills Dany. I agree with that. Grey Worm will fight Jon at Tyrion's trial. Maybe. I mean, that's an interesting point. That could be an interesting point of view, because Tyrion's already had 2 trials by combat. It's kind of like a foreshadowing element that throughout the entire show's run. Every time he's on trial, he wants a trial by combat, and he always gets out of it somehow. That's an interesting point. That's a really interesting point of view. Now, because she could see Tyrion as a traitor, but the thing is Tyrion fulfilled what he promised was going to happen. What he wanted to happen happened. He told her, hey, look, like, let them ring the bells. And what happened? They rang the bells. So it's not on Tyrion at all. It's really on Dany. She just kind of stormed, and she got so angry and so bitter because she's such a horrible person, that she went and burnt down all of King's Landing. So to me, it's really on Dany. If anybody should be on trial, it should be her. Tyrion didn't. I mean, he did what he promised her would kind of happen. He promised her that the city would be, they would fear her and that they would ring the bells, and it happened. So I don't know why he would be on trial. Maybe in the beginning of the episode, he goes to her and confronts her and says he doesn't agree with her. Then he's considered a traitor. And then, maybe that will happen. Maybe it'll play out that way. But if we're just basing it off of kind of what we saw from last week, he wasn't wrong. I mean, he said that the bells were going to ring, for surrender, and they did. So we'll just have to wait and see, Laundry. I mean, but I agree with you. I think Gendry will be king, with a council. I agree. And Jon goes to the wall. Sansa gets the north. I think I don't think Jon is going to have any leadership responsibility, not because he's not a good leader. Of course, they're going to want to follow him. But I really think it's because Jon he's not about that. And there's a lot of foreshadowing elements of these characters that it would stay consistent in nature. I mean, Gendry becoming king, would that be super consistent? I mean, no, because Gendry, we're finding out now, like Gendry's kind of finding out now who he really is and who he was meant to be. And so, I mean, but there's no basis to rely on the fact that it's not consistent. So that's kind of like middle ground for me. What else did you say? Grey Worm will fight Jon. I mean, at Tyrion's trial, that is very consistent with what has happened with the character of Tyrion. And same thing with Grey Worm and Jon. Because Jon will say Tyrion was right. He said that these people would surrender. So he's not guilty of anything. And then Gendry will be king with maybe he'll have the hand be Jon Snow. Maybe Jon will be the hand of the king, kind of like a little foreshadowing of Ned being the hand to Robert Baratheon. So there's still like all these different elements. It's kind of cool to think about. And then Jon goes to the wall. That's pretty consistent. If Jon doesn't accept leadership responsibility, it's consistent with his character. Nobody can say it's not, because he gave up being, the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. He gave it up after hanging the traitors. Sansa gets the North. Pretty consistent. The character of Sansa, strong-willed. I think she deserves the North. I think Jon is going to say she is the true ruler of the North, not me. And so I think all these things that you're saying, Laundry, are very consistent, except for the whole everything's consistent. You're saying everything that is consistent, Laundry, so I agree with you. Also, if Jon kills Dany, he'd fulfill the Azor Ahai prophecy in a weird way. Yeah, that's kind of what Laundry said. Again, I'm not really into the whole prophecies thing. I never really analyzed it from that perspective. I haven't read the books or anything. So I don't really know much about the prophecy and how much the prophecy has kind of related to the show and all these different prophecies. Because if you think about it, like the prophecy of Cersei being killed by the love of her life, she really was. One, Jaime pretty much killed her because he said, no, like you stay with me and you look into my eyes and we're going to die together. I mean, he kept her from leaving to possibly escaping. So, I mean, there's a little bit, there's some obscure things about that, sure. But, the prophecy thing to me, this show has always been more than that. And I feel like I want that. If he kills Daenerys, I just feel like he's doing it because it's the right thing to do. She's a horrible person. I hate her so much. And I really, really cannot wait to see her die this weekend. I will be so happy. Arya will train the soldiers. I also think Arya will marry Gendry and remind him of the importance of the people. That I agree with that. Arya, especially after last week's episode, Arya was, trying to help people escape King's Landing. She was trying to help people, move forward and not die. And I think, she has a lot of that horse at the end. And I really do feel a lot of you guys said last week, and I agree with you. I really feel that Bran was the one who sent that horse to her. And so, I feel like that is something Arya would do. And I do think she'll marry Gendry. I think that's like a foregone conclusion at this point. Train the soldiers. Yeah, quite possibly. If Brienne of Tarth is still there, though, she could also train the soldiers. Oh, Podrick. That's the character I was thinking of. What do I think Podrick will die? Man, I hope not. I really hope not. I like Podrick a lot too. I'll say yeah. I will say yes. I feel like he'll defend Brienne of Tarth and he could possibly die. So, yeah. Isn't Brienne a descendant of a Targaryen? I don't think so. I don't think they've ever clarified that. I know her dad was like, I think he's a lord, right? Yeah, because she's a lady. She's a lady. So, yeah, I don't think so. They never mentioned that. Duncan the Tall. Who's that? Let me know who that is, Laundry. I don't know who you're talking about. Hodor was what? Awesome, right? I loved Hodor. It's really sad to see him die, and that was a tough episode to watch. Tyrion released Jaime. He committed treason. Jon will see the wall as Here's the thing about that, Laundry. Here's the thing. So you're right. He did release Jaime, but I don't even think Dany even knows. I don't think she knows. And the saying goes, what mama don't know won't hurt her. I don't even think she even realized. She never saw Jaime when she was at King's Landing. It'd be interesting because maybe some, unsullied soldiers tell her that he did it, but it doesn't matter because Jaime died. Is it treason? Sure. So you have a good point there. I mean, they could do that, but she never saw him. I mean, she never said anything. So we'll have to wait and see. I mean, that's a good point. You might be right. Jon will see the wall as his way out of being king. Well, maybe Jon will just go and I think he'll just go and, retire and have a good life somewhere, start a family, kind of put all this stuff behind him because he's been the one who's fought like the most out of every character in the show. So we'll just have to wait and see. The wall is useless. Yeah. I realized when I was saying it, Dagger, I was like, wait, the wall doesn't even matter because there is nobody left really to keep on the outside of the wall. Yeah, it's pretty useless, but I feel like there's still going to be like some type of justice in the fact that the wall or some type of barrier is going to keep things from coming in, unwanted things. But the wall at this point, as we know it, is pretty much useless. Oh, it was Hodor. Are you talking about Hodor was a descendant of a Targaryen? I didn't even know that. If you're, I mean, that's kind of cool. The Night's Watch is no longer needed. Yeah, it really isn't. There is no reason to have a Night's Watch, but I feel like there is going to be different. I feel like every single person. So like, because, if Gendry sits on the Iron Throne and then Sansa or Jon or whoever it is the leader of the North, I feel like they're all going to be working together, kind of more on a committee, and they're going to be more on good terms because they're all friends, and Gendry is going to be a really good ruler, I think. I think that all of their armies are kind of going to be put together. And so that's kind of what's going to happen. I mean, outside forces, we don't really know of any other like outside places. I think everything is, they have control of the Iron Islands, with, oh my gosh. Come on, guys, help me out. Greyjoy. What's her first name? Liana, I don't remember what her name is, but Yara. Thank you, Laundry. Gosh, you guys are awesome. I suck so bad with names. I tell you, especially characters like her, because she's not a main character. She's always been like on the side, and she's mentioned here and there, but they have control of the Iron Islands. Euron is dead. So, I mean, I think she will probably be the queen of the Iron Islands. I think they'll bestow that upon her, but I think everyone's going to kind of work together as a community. So we'll see. Jon lets all present in the court know his real name, mounts Drogon, and threatens Dany that he will destroy her and her armies if they ever leave King's Landing. Flies north. The end. Ooh, Iron 883. Welcome to the chat, man. Good to see you on here. Make sure you subscribe to that channel down below. Subscribe to my channel because I'll be talking about this on Sunday with whatever happens. So just so you can stay up to date. That is a awesome theory. I like that a lot. Mounts Drogon, threatens Dany that he will destroy her and her armies if they ever leave King's Landing. That's a very good point. I don't know if mounting Drogon is the right thing, though. Maybe what will have to happen is they have to kill Drogon, and then get to Dany. They have to kill Grey Worm, get to Dany and be like, look, our forces will kill you if you leave. You can be the queen here. That's fine. But you are not going to be the queen of everyone else. I like that. Flies north. The end. I like that a lot. So you're kind of saying that you don't think Dany's going to die. I think Dany's going to die. I really, 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 I hope she dies. But I feel like she's going to die. There's no way that she can redeem herself. There's no way that she can live. To me, she has to die. And we'll find out. I'm looking forward to it. Hodor was the descendant. Okay. Jon will fulfill his namesake and will sit on the Iron Throne. OJ, I mean, a lot of people think that, man. A lot of people think that. You are not the only person to think that. I think they could very well do that. My prediction, though, I don't know if you're a little late, OJ, but what I said was going to happen is I think that it's going to be Gendry Baratheon who will sit on the Iron Throne. Jon will maybe be his hand, maybe. That's if he wants it. Or he might even be offered, to be king of the North, because they have a lot of respect. They're like really good friends now, him and Gendry. But I feel like Jon is going to not want that because Jon has never been about the throne. He's never been about, being his own leader or, setting himself out for to be a king or to be a leader. And I think he's just going to retire. He's going to find a babe, go somewhere and, live out the rest of his days in peace and rest. And, they're going to give him, maybe he'll probably be knighted. I mean, that's a very interesting concept. But I think, I don't think Jon's going to want the Iron Throne, to be honest. I think he might just say, hey, look, Gendry this is a guy who is the true heir. Not me. He should be our king. And not only that, but I fought with this man. He's a great man. He'd be a better king than me. So, we'll just have to wait and see. That's right. Gendry is the last of the Baratheon bloodline. I can see him taking the throne and giving Jon stewardship over the North. I can see that too, OJ. I really can. I think, and if he does that, I feel like Jon is also going to say, well, Sansa should be really the queen of the North, or like the leader of the North, because she's a better, Jon has already kind of said that Sansa's a better leader than him. And I think that's spot on. I think she's a fantastic leader, actually. I wouldn't be upset if she ends up on the Iron Throne, but I don't even think she doesn't want to leave Winterfell. So I think that's a very good assumption, OJ. I mean, he could be the person to be King of the North. Maybe Sansa and Tyrion will go to Casterly Rock, and they'll be Lord and Lady. And Sansa will have a big influence. I do feel like Sansa and Tyrion are going to get married. If Tyrion doesn't die, I hope he doesn't freaking die. But I think that I think they're going to get married. There's so many things that I feel like she deserves. She's had such a tough go of it. First she was married to, first she was pretty much ridiculed by Joffrey, the scumbag. She watched Ned, her dad, die. She had to marry Tyrion, even though he was a super kind and just gentleman to her the entire time. He had so much respect for her, and she respects him a lot for that reason, because he could have taken advantage of her and he never did. And that's why I love Tyrion so much. When I saw that episode and I saw him do that, I was like, that's my favorite character. That is my favorite character, and he's been my favorite character ever since. Tyrion is the best character in this show. He's had the best arc, in my opinion, out of all the characters. I think he's the one that should be on the Iron Throne, but I don't think they're going to go that route at all. That's why I'm not predicting that will happen. If he sits on the Iron Throne at the end, oh my gosh, I will be so elated. I will be so happy. You'll see me on Sunday, come on this live stream, on this video, and just literally just be like this the entire time, just like, shaking, because I'll be so happy. Because my man Tyrion is on the Iron Throne, but I don't think that's the route they're going to go. And if Daenerys kills him, oh my gosh, I might just break my TV. I will be so pissed. So I mean, yeah, we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting, man. One more episode. That's it. We'll see. I think the North should be independent from the Seven Kingdoms, and I'd love to see Tyrion and Sansa get married too. Yeah, Chewbacca. I would love that. Sansa deserves happiness, and she deserves, a good life. She had to marry Ramsay, scumbag, getting raped on her freaking wedding night. I mean, or sexually assaulted. It's just, she deserves to have her moment in the sun and her glory. And if that's sitting on the Iron Throne, great. If it's getting married to Tyrion, which I think is the route they're going to go, and I hope they go, great. And it's also good for Tyrion, because Tyrion has always wanted love, and every time he's had love, it's always been taken away from him. So to me, I think it would be so great for those two characters. And I love Tyrion so much, man. And Sansa's a babe. She's a babe. So Tyrion be one lucky guy. I'll tell you that. Just imagine if Ygritte was still alive. It makes a fairy tale ending for Jon. I know, OJ. That was such a sad death too. Yeah, Ygritte, man. What's crazy though is they're married in real life. Kit Harington and I think her name's Rose Leslie or Rose. I know it's Rose something. I'm pretty sure it's Rose Leslie. But they're married in real life, so that's really cool. So he does have his Ygritte. She's just at home. So it's a happy ending for Kit Harington, but yeah, I mean, that would have been really cool if they would have went that route, but it made sense why they decided to do that ultimately, because it put more, it made Jon stronger as a character. It made him, more independent. It made him a better leader to kind of go through that. And you've seen so much growth from his character. I would say you've seen more growth from Tyrion's character, but Jon is the type of character that has really grown a lot over the seasons, and especially after Ygritte's death. So yeah, it would have been really cool if they would have seen that through. To be honest, after this final season, I'm going to count down the days till we get the prequel. I'm so stoked about it, dude. Me and you both, OJ. You and me both, man. I am so. Like I said, I'm really sad that the show is ending this Sunday. The documentary, of the making of the last season is going to be the Sunday after that. I'll do another video that next Sunday to talk about the documentary, probably talk a little bit more about the series, maybe talk a little bit about the prequel series, what we maybe could expect. But I'll tell you right now, when they start production on this prequel series, Oh, baby, I'll be counting down the days. They still haven't even started pre-production, as far as I know. Let me check real quick. Actually, Game of Thrones prequel series pre-production. Let's see if they actually started. Let's see. Filming underway on Game of Thrones prequel. Okay, yeah, okay. So I guess they're kind of already doing pre-production and all that stuff on the sequel series. So when it gets closer, I think it's not expected to come out for like a couple years. Then I'll get really giddy and I'll get really excited. I just want to understand the concept of kind of what the show is going to be based on. I know the idea of it, but I want to know like what they're going to be exploring when it comes to the children. The first children. I want to understand what they're going to do with that, but I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, I cannot wait. I've actually been, I watched the first episode of Westworld. I didn't hate it. I didn't understand a lot that was going on. I think you were the one, Chewbacca, who was like, saying that, I think it takes like episode 4 or 5 to kind of get into it. I think I'm going to continue to watch it. I'm going to continue to try to get through it. And then I was thinking about maybe Spartacus would be a show that I could get into. It's on Netflix. Stranger Things season 3 comes out in July, so we don't have, too much longer to wait for that. I'm trying to think what other shows. Maybe True Detective. I haven't really checked that out. I love Game of Thrones, man. I love it, and it's really sad to see that this show is going to be ending. I love making Game of Thrones videos. I love talking about this show. It's awesome. We have such a fun time on here. I hope you guys have fun. It's so much fun to kind of talk about our feelings on this show and get your guys' insight too. Let's see. Bittersweet would make sense with Dany alone. Jon heading north, deserting her, living his days out with the free folk. Will miss Varys, RIP. Yeah, I was really starting to like Varys a lot, actually. First 2 seasons, I didn't like him. I always felt like he was a snake. He was going to turn on all the characters. He's going to turn on Tyrion and all these characters that I loved. I didn't trust him at all. But then when he helped Tyrion escape, I started kind of growing a little bit more fonder of him. And he's made some really good decisions. One powerful statement from this past episode is when he tells Tyrion, I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. And you find out that he was right. And Tyrion, I think, now knows that he was right. And I think Tyrion now feels incredibly bad, incredibly guilty for Varys' death because he told Daenerys ultimately. And so it's going to be, it's sad to see him go, but Varys is kind of, his arc is done. I mean, that's the thing I love about this show is characters that die. It makes sense because what else is there left for them to do? We've kind of already seen them do everything that they've needed to do. And Varys is one of those characters. Jon heading north, living his days out with the free folk. Yeah, Iron, I think you're on the money with that, man. I really do. Dany alone, we'll see. I think she does need to die, but we'll see. I'm studying a lot of the events that happened before the present Westeros and Seven Kingdoms. The tragedy at Summerhall is an amazing read that I hope they add for the prequel. I mean, that'd be kind of cool. I don't know. I'm not into books. I've told you guys this before, but I need my Game of Thrones fix. And part of me is kind of like thinking maybe I should invest in getting the first book and reading it. I just really love the show so much that I really I'm interested. Now, apparently, I don't know if you guys heard the report or read the report, but apparently a Game of Thrones actor, I don't think they verified which one, but it doesn't really matter. But a Game of Thrones actor actually said that George R.R. Martin finished the last 2 books already. He's had them finished in the can for a while. He's just waiting for the series to be over. And apparently Wise and Benioff told him to wait. So that could be why we haven't gotten those Game of Thrones books. But maybe, just maybe, if this is right, you guys will be getting your Game of Thrones books pretty dang soon. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Look, guys, I'm really excited. Really sad to see that the show is ending. But one thing I do respect about the decision to end the show is shows that drag on forever and just continue to milk it, they lose interest over time. I mean, people stop talking about them. People stop really caring. I mean, look at The Walking Dead. It used to be probably the most talked about show, to now where it's like people don't really care. They don't really give a crap. You know, my Twitter feed blows up more with Game of Thrones stuff than anything else. And it's been like that for a while now. So to me, something like this will never, this type of show and this type of entertainment will never have an influence. Like this show will never have another show. I can't even talk, guys. Another show will never have the type of influence on pop culture like Game of Thrones. I don't think we're going to see even the prequel series. I really don't think the prequel series are going to be as talked about. And that just shows how good of a show that this has been. And even if you don't like the last season, you have to say overall, I mean, one season shouldn't, it's the final season. So, you put a lot more emphasis on it because it's the concluding factor of the entire show. It's the ribbon on everything. But you cannot say that this show has been a waste. A lot of people are saying, oh, this show has been a waste, like cancel the whole show. It sucks. Like it's invalid. What they were able to accomplish for 7 seasons before this final season is incredible. It's incredible. I have loved this season. You guys know that. I have loved it. I've eaten it up. I have just really enjoyed every episode. I've enjoyed every episode of this show. I mean, there's some moments where, to me, there's no filler, but there's some moments where it's a little long, whether it be Arya's training with the Faceless Men, whether it be moments with Tommen in the church. I felt like that was kind of, really like just run to death. But to me, I just really enjoyed this show, and I'm sad to see it end. But you know what? I mean, this show is going out in a blaze of glory, no pun intended. And to me, even though like a lot of people are hating on this show, it's still getting talked about. So, I mean, any publicity is good publicity, right? Walking Dead sucks now. After season 6, I stopped watching it. Yeah, I stopped watching it too. I'll probably watch the new season when it hits Netflix, but I've lost interest. I stopped watching it after last season. The whole crap about, Carl dying and them putting Negan in prison, which I was fine with. I loved Negan's character a lot. I actually would have been pissed if they would have killed him off, but the whole aspect of, I don't know, just where they were going with it. It was the same exact thing every single episode. So it's just why watch that. But I'll probably watch the new season when it's on Netflix, even though I kind of don't want to, but I've kind of already watched so much of it that I feel guilty. Like I have to watch it. I only watched the first episode of this last season. So once it hits Netflix, I'll probably watch the whole thing. I don't think this show was a waste. I just think they rushed this final season. I mean, you're not alone, Chewbacca, in thinking that. A lot of people feel that way too. It's a little weird to me that this show Game of Thrones, which has been huge, and it makes HBO a crap ton of money, which is why they can spend so much per episode. It's weird that HBO would just, cut off 7 episodes in the last 2 seasons. It's a little fishy and a little weird to me. Some of it has felt a little rushed with certain things and certain elements, but I feel like it's not like completely rushed. But I just don't understand. I'll never understand why HBO decided to do that, because it was HBO's decision. You could say Benioff and Weiss's decision, but it wasn't. It was HBO's decision. They have the final say, and they just decided to cut it. 4 episodes or 3 episodes short in season 7 and 4 episodes short this season. So I'll never understand that, I don't think. And I guess we'll never know. Maybe they'll come out with a statement of why they did that. Apparently, we don't have anything left to say, but it's like you can drag out some of these elements a little bit more, maybe explain some things, maybe go deeper into the lore of certain, elements. It's incredible. I was reading something actually this past week that was saying, so Lena Headey, who plays Cersei, she made $1 million an episode, $1 million an episode. And you know what she did most of the season? She stood at a freaking window, drinking wine, and just looking at the view. that is pretty much what she did most of the season. So Lena Headey, good on you, making that bank. And I feel like that's why we also didn't really see Cersei a lot, was probably because of that. They just didn't want to shell out $1 million per episode to see Cersei. And I also kind of feel like it's fine because Cersei, we've seen enough of her over the past, number of years. And season 7 I felt like season 7 kind of closed a lot of arcs about like Cersei's character. And it was kind of just like, getting to that imminent death that was looming, on her. And then it's funny. I also heard something, somebody said, what's going to happen? This is my theory for the end of Game of Thrones. Ed Sheeran is going to come in. Ed Sheeran's character is going to come in. He's going to take the throne and he's going to sing to Sansa. She's going to fall in love and they're going to get married. So do I think that's going to happen? Absolutely not. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, Ed Sheeran had a cameo. Aaron Rodgers had a cameo this past episode. So I think it's kind of cool when celebrities are in there. I mean, Ed Sheeran, a lot of people hated his little appearance. I didn't mind it. I love Ed Sheeran. I love his music. Was it a little odd? Was it a little misplaced? Sure. But, I was fine with it. It is what it is. It's whatever, right? But anyway, guys, I think that's going to do it for this video, this live stream. Thanks so much, guys, for commenting and leaving your guys' predictions. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens on Sunday. I will be back here on Sunday. So if you are not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button right now so you can be notified of what time on Sunday after the episode I will be live talking about the series finale. It's probably going to be a long one. We're going to have a snack, everything like that, get a drink, whatever you need in order to kind of get through this live stream. OJ, take care, man. Thank you so much for coming onto my live stream, and I'll see you Sunday. But yeah, get a snack. It's going to be probably a long one. I'm going to answer your guys' questions. I'm going to answer, what you guys say, your comments, what you guys think. We're going to go into depth about the series as a whole, not just this season, but how the whole series felt, kind of wrapping up. We're going to talk a little bit about maybe the prequel series, a little bit about, still maybe predictions for, what could have been, to see. Fingers crossed we get a satisfied finale. I agree, OJ. I agree, man. Fingers crossed we get a satisfied finale. And even if not, as long as it makes sense, to me, I'm okay with it. And I've loved this show. Even if let's say the last episode sucks, to me, it's not going to make the show horrible and it's not going to bring the show down. To me, I love this show so much. It's probably my favorite show like ever of all time. And so, we'll see you Sunday. Yeah. See you, Laundry. I'm looking forward to it, man. But yeah, we'll go in depth. We'll talk a lot about, the series finale, the last episode of Game of Thrones. Anyway, guys, like this video, subscribe down below for more content just like this. I will be posting up my Stanley cameo ranking video finally tomorrow. I know, guys, it's been freaking forever. I've said it a million times that I was going to post it up, but this time I'm pretty sure it's for real. I'm also going to be doing a John Wick Chapter 3 review, so look forward to that. I will be watching the movie tomorrow, and I'm also planning on hopefully shooting my buddy Clayton's solo review. So, yeah, guys, a lot of good stuff coming on this channel. And even after Game of Thrones, if you came on here for Game of Thrones content, I will be doing more live streams. Maybe not Game of Thrones, but we'll talk movies, we'll talk television, whatever you guys want. We'll talk. Maybe we'll do some open discussion stuff. I will also be doing live stuff for. I will be doing live stuff for Marvel films, spoiler discussions or Star Wars and all that good stuff. How much did that sign Acosta? Ha! That's a good one. It's funny, Prithvi. I had a teacher in school who would say that. He would be, and it was so annoying. He would be like, I love the guy, but he would be like, it's going to cost you something every single time. LOL, we back, baby. Yeah, it's good to see you, Prithvi. But yeah, I mean, it's looking forward to this final episode. If you come on here for my Game of Thrones content, please check out my other stuff. I do a lot more stuff. I plan on doing a lot more ranking videos, maybe some Blu-ray stuff very soon. yeah, so I kind of have like Blu-rays right there, and then 4Ks at the bottom. I'm still growing my 4K collection. I'm kind of getting there. I don't have a lot of 4Ks, but I will have more 4Ks very soon. But yeah, Prithvi, I don't know what to tell you, man. You missed this stream, but make sure you watch from the beginning, and also make sure you subscribe to my channel, dude. I got 4K, 4,000 4Ks level up, bruh. I got 4K 4Ks. Hey man, yeah, I gotta get on that train. I already subbed you, friend. Awesome, dude. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, some people I see who subscribes to me, some people I don't. It just depends. And not only that, but sometimes I get like, 3 or 4 subscribers at once, and so it's kind of hard to remember who subscribed to me, but I really appreciate it, dude. Or fiend, like a cigarette fiend. Oh, okay, gotcha. But yeah, anyway, guys, Sunday, be here to talk about Game of Thrones series finale. I'll see y'all in my next video. Goodbye.